jaw, now I'm here to stay. Tell me who the fuck gonna face the music? More brick laying, less screen time. Been cutting back on the daily usage. Long road for the road dogs, for the weird miles from the soapbox. Got BKTs on this bitch, so everybody getting rolled on, yeah. Yeah, everybody getting rolled on. Check all his credits on BMI, I'm just too.
He dedicates 8 hours a day role-playing as a toddler.
I'm in baby mode on and off all day.
And Jess's daddy is caring for her.
I'm 20, but not really, because I'm 5.
Adopted mommy and daddy who are totally comfortable with me being a little girl.
I identify as an 8-year-old girl called Denise. Therefore, I am an 8-year-old girl.
Okay. How's it going, folks? MCU'S Bleeding Edge in the house, as usual. And first hard-hitting question, Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings, J-Red. Which one of those crazy fucking people looks the most like a halfling out of all those fucking people we just saw? With the crazy wigs and shit, like some of those like grown men that were saying that they're children and shit.
I don't know. None of them.
What do you think, Cyber? Which one of those fuckers looks like a halfling?
The guy that says he identifies as an 8-year-old girl.
That's right, sir. You win 1 million points, as you would say normally. You win 1 million points on that, Cyber. You're starting the show off with a major lead here on the panel. Always good to start off with a good lead like that, folks. Just to be clear out there. But anyways, this is the MCU'S Media YouTube channel podcast. I am co-host Jeff S. TrueKnowledge in the house, rocking the Lord of the Rings episode 4, The Rings of Power Season 2 recap live stream. JRat 2000 has graced us with his presence here at the guest panel with Cyberneticshark, my co-host. Good to see you, Joey. How are you, buddy?
What's up? Glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Good to have you back, brother.
Thank you.
We're waiting on Rathacon to join us, our buddy Jassim. And Cyber, how you doing, sir?
Good, sir. I am just hunky-dory, waiting to talk about this episode.
Are you stoked to review Beetlejuice on Andres' live stream on Sunday?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. So, all right. Honestly, we'll start things off a little bit in reverse because I've done this once before. I actually kind of like doing it. I'm going to do episode ratings to start off the show instead of end it. So I'll start with you, Joey. You know, since you're the first time back in a while, I'll go to you first. What's your rating 1 through 10 on episode 4? I thought it was a pretty up and down episode.
Okay, so 1 through 4, my rating, without trying to go into too much depth right off the bat.
Oh, that's right. You're supposed to be on for episodes 1 through 3, so go ahead. Yeah.
Yep. Well, you know, and again, it's a simple question you're asking me, and I'm trying to keep it simple. So if I'm going to give it a rating based off of 1 through 4, from what I've seen, I'm gonna. Where are we going? 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10,
1 out of 10,
1 out of 10. I think I'd give it a generous 7. A generous 7. I think I'm being pretty generous, you know, because usually like shows they kind of have to build up before they get to the climatic ending or finale, and I think it's done an okay job. The first 2 episodes for me were like really like uppity, and they kind of slowed down in this last 2 episodes, but I'm okay with that.
Okay, Cyber rating, sir.
For episode 4, I'd have to give it a solid 8. There was a lot in it that I enjoyed, and I thought that it was a decent episode.
Did you like the Harfoot halfling shit and all that? Did you dig that?
That was probably the most boringest part of the episode, but a lot of the other stuff was really great.
Okay, I just wanted to check. All right, so I'm going to play a trailer for season 2 here in a minute. But before we do that, let me start off the actual episode. So I'm working off of a vulture.com article for our outline off this episode review. And it starts off with, let's see. Oh, okay. So basically it starts off with, you know, it's never easy when a coworker becomes your boss. And as this episode opens, Galadriel does not deal with it well. Elrond asks if she knows any good archers or swordsmen for their expedition to Eregion, but she replies with some unelvish snark. She calls him out on it, replies earnestly, and dutifully begins making plans. Once so cordial, even friendly, this relationship has suddenly picked up sharp edges. Now, as they've used the fast travel option, they move across the map where they discover Eregion's going to be a little harder to access than they planned due to the destruction of the bridge they planned to cross. If they go north, it'll take an extra 2 weeks. If they go south, they might be walking into a den of evil, per the vision offered by Galadriel's ring. Elrond still hates Galadriel's ring and its visions and resents her bad attitude, but bound by a sense of shared duty, they press on together. Galadriel is filled with vague worries about a future threat, while over in Room, the stranger has more immediate worries. He's lost his Harfoot friends. He quickly gains a new friend. However, a hermit, Rory Kinnear, humming a happy song and sporting a knowing grin. It's as if he's traded to small friends for one big one, though the stranger thankfully doesn't see it that way. After the stranger asks for help finding his Harfoot companions, he's told, there is what you're searching for and there's what you find, now isn't there? Then the stranger's searching for, Then the stranger's star map blows away, and when he attempts to break off a branch that resembles the staff he used to fend off the riders stalking his party, he's swallowed by the tree, Ent, to which it's attached. Nothing seems to be going his way. So I'll stop there. That's a pretty big chunk of the intro of the episode. I'll go to you, Cyber. Before we before we go into Dory and Poppy and their saga in the episode, Dory looking fine as usual, by the way. Hats off to Dory for looking so fine, being such a fine halfling. We appreciate that. We're bleeding edge. Cyber, your thoughts are on that opening of the episode.
Well, first off, the Nori conversation there for a second. Out of halfling look, she actually looks a lot better. So, I mean, if she looks that good as a halfling, damn, how she looks as a normal person, damn. But, Poppy's got it going on, too, outside of halfling look, too. So you got to give her a little props, too.
I thought Poppy was fucking male, bro.
No, she's not.
They're going to trick me.
That's good. Yeah, because she has no breast. Yeah, I know. Anyways,
sorry, sir.
Yeah, shut up. Anyways, wonderful laughing there, sir. You get minus 5 million points for that laughing. But anyways, but where was I? Okay, yes. So that portion leading up to being swallowed by the tree. First off, I gotta say, I absolutely loved how he gets swallowed up by the tree. That was freaking awesome. I was laughing, and at the same time, I thought that was so cool. Like, all of a sudden, the tree just starts to pull him in. I'm like, is this like a tree kind of like in Sleepy Hollow? Like, what is this fucking thing doing? Like, is it eating him? Like, what's going on here? I thought that was just so cool. I was like, that's really cool. I like that. Thought that's very interesting. But like leading up to that point, I mean, it's pretty basic. I thought at the beginning of the episode, there was nothing really that stood out to me or anything that I thought was really fantastic. I just thought it was pretty a great way of, proceeding with the story. We get that Elrond and Galadriel kind of, situation there, which definitely there's some great, I feel visuals during that sequence, but other than that, it's just kind of them back and forth talking and kind of them their basically their situation, their relationship and how it's off to one end and off to another end kind of deal and kind of go back and forth between those two. I feel that that's kind of a tired trope with their characters since the first season. And I feel like they bask way too much on that in the writing. So I find that kind of boring. I don't find it really that entertaining, but definitely there's elements of that situation, where they're battling that, which is really well done.
Oh, but I don't think I got that far to where they fight the barrel whites and all that shit.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the beginning. Anyways, pretty much, what goes on in that beginning sequence there, it's pretty basic. Leading up to the introduction of that other stranger that, gives himself a name, which we'll figure out later on. And him and the stranger himself getting gobbled up by that tree, I thought was really fun. That's when I thought the episode started to get really interesting for me when that whole situation there happened with him and the new stranger character that he's trying to get information out of, finding his halfling friends. So I think pretty much the beginning section is pretty boring up to that point, and then that's when it starts to get really enjoyable and fascinating.
He's Tom Bombadil, baby. Tom Bombadil. What's up?
Yeah, I still can't remember who the fuck that's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's Tom Bombadil. What'd you think, J-Rat 2000? What are your thoughts on Tom Bombadil?
His character, like, I mean,
that whole intro of the episode, the same thing I asked Cyber.
Got you. Okay, so I'm really gonna play a lot of devil's advocate in this, and when I say that, I mean like I've got a lot more questions than I do answers for what's going on, and I've seen season 1, and I'm up to date with season 2, right?
Yeah, you watched season 1 recently, so like
I did.
You should be really tight like with the show.
So I'm gonna ask all these questions, and anybody who's watching it, to kind of refresh them up, bring them up to speed. Like at this point, we've only created 3 rings, and those are the elf rings, correct? We've got 3 rings, and they've already been.
And the dwarf rings too. The dwarf rings were made too.
Oh, were they made? I didn't see that they were made.
Yeah, they made the dwarf rings too.
Okay, so we've got the 3 rings for the elves at this point, and then and I guess we got the 7 dwarf rings. I don't understand why they gave the ring to what's her name? What's her name? Galadriel. Why was a ring given to her?
Well, it wasn't given to her. She took it.
Because I thought it was supposed to be for like the higher.
It was just made for the elves, and she grabbed it.
But
she's one of the higher tier. I don't want to go on and on, but she's one of the higher tier elves or whatever. Like she's like up in like the the rankings as far as
rankings.
Like, yeah.
Because I felt like she was a high ranking like military elf, but I didn't feel like she was a high ranking council elf like throughout what I was seeing. And maybe I'm just missing it. I'm just she was a leader like in season 1 and then came back and us. Yeah. Anyway, I like what I saw. We got to see more of the E-Star. Is that what he's called? The E-Star? The E-Star? That's what they call him? That good wizard? E-Star? When he got swallowed up by the tree?
Yeah, I think Istar is it's just like not his actual name. It's like just a general name.
That's interesting how they did the whole tree. First thing I thought when I saw that was tree folk, from what we got from Lord of the Rings when they first came out in the Twin Towers. And I was like, oh, we're gonna get tree folk. And we did. I know we're not there yet, but in the Harfoots and the halflings, when they did that, it didn't, just like Cyber said, that was probably the most boring part of it. They went to the story.
That's as far as I went was before we go into the Harfoots and Poppy and what's her name, Maury.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'll go. The last thing I guess I'll say about the beginning part of you could tell the ring is like giving her visions, but I feel like it's also making her a little bit more aggressive.
I think it amplifies her visions because she's had visions before. Like that's not unnatural for her to have them, but the ones she's having now are stronger from the ring.
Yeah, I just feel like her tone is more rigid and more aggressive than it was prior. Now I know she was outspoken already as a character, but I feel like they're trying to give you that impression because even though as much as she was outspoken already as a character in the other episodes, like now, like the other elf, the one who's the commander that, the one that asked her if she knows any archers and swordsmen, all that, you could see he's like having to like tell her like, hey, no, this is your role right now. And, the ring, I don't need counsel from the ring. You're just getting more feedback from other people from the way she was acting. And I mean, it's interesting. I like the concept of where it's going.
Okay. No problem, sir. I appreciate it. Did you have any, you said you had other questions. Did you have any other questions about anything? Like, how do you get Nori's number or whatever?
No, I'm okay. I think that the high elf looks a lot better than anybody on the show.
Oh, Galadriel?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty fine. She's pretty fine.
Yeah, if we were gonna say anybody was hot in the show, I guess it would be her. And that's what's it called? And then the one where the king, the future king, that was
Isildur?
Yeah, Isildur, the one that he picked up in the forest, or
that chick.
Yeah, she ate.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, that's good to know. That's really good information, J-Rat. I appreciate that.
I figured you could take what you want from that.
I'm scrolling through some of my private videos right now on my MacBook Pro. I didn't even realize we're here. I didn't even know. I forgot they were even out here. Good information. So I guess you're not feeling Nori like me and Cyber are. That's okay. Me and Cyber are a bunch of old fucking dirty bastards. So
that's all right. Hey, to each his own, man. It's all right.
I think Nori is fine, dude. But that's just me. So, anyways, speaking of Nori, happily both Nori and Poppy survived the Wizard of Oz level storm that whisked them away in the previous episode 3. They wake to find themselves in the middle of nowhere, which is where they were anyway. True, they were pretty much in the middle of nowhere before, but at least they kind of knew which way to head. It's not them in the middle of nowhere. They're soon greeted by Nobody, also known as Merrybach, and played by Javi Singh Chera, which is to say they're greeted by a halfling everyone calls Nobody, which is stupid as fuck. A friendly but puzzled-looking fellow who introduces himself, asks who they are, and then exchanges a meaningful look with Poppy, while Nori looks on skeptically. But their meeting makes a turn after the visitors rightly suspect he's stealing water. As Nobody flees, he tells them that outsiders aren't allowed in the village, and that there isn't even a village anyway. Under threat, however, Nobody agrees to introduce them to the village elder, the Gund, or Gundable Earthhauler, as the credits list the character played by Tanya Moody. Nice to see that they have a black queen as the leader of the new Hobbit people or whatever. Like, both the Hobbit people have black people leading the Hobbit people or whatever. Both the factions of Hobbit people we've seen in the show, and there was no black Hobbits at all in the Tolkien shit. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what's going on with that, but whatever. So so we have the gun going on or whatever. Following Nobody, they find a thriving village built inside a small canyon. It's a place where children laugh and play. Trade thrives, whatever the fuck that means, and the gun is not going to let anything change that. Certainly not outsiders who don't know the difference between Harfoots and stores. Really stupid shit right there.
What do they call them?
Harfoots. Harfoots.
Okay.
She's really intimidating, unless that is your Nori, who does not like the sharp tone the gun takes with Nobody. And in the gun's words, backsasses her. She hasn't come this far to be foiled by an overprotective mayor. But when Nori mentions her lost friend is a wizard, a hush falls over the stores. They only know the Dark Wizard, and they don't like him. In no time, Nori and Poppy go from being uninvited guests to prisoners. Speaking of Dark Wizards, the episode then cuts to the mysterious Saruman-resembling figure as he expresses his frustration at not yet having the stranger in his hands to the chief of the riders. It's division of labor time. They'll hunt for the Harfoots while the Dark Wizard looks for the stranger. Given that he's still stuck on a tree, that shouldn't be too hard. So I'll stop there. J-Rat 2000, what are your thoughts on all the Nori, Poppy shit with the black and Indian and Pakistani Hobbit fashion that they met, and the Dark Wizard?
Okay. I definitely have some comments on that as far as opinions. So when they get there, right, and she's like, "Oh, there's hobbits here," and they're like, "We're not hobbits," and I was thinking, looking at the show, like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "They're not hobbits. Then what are they?" And it's basically what they are, right? They're just hobbits. They are hobbits, right?
Yeah, they're hobbits.
But they don't call themselves hobbits. They call themselves Harfoots, right?
Stores.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was like, wait a minute. So they call themselves something different, but they're like the same species. I was like, what? All right, whatever. Her character, Mama Bear, whatever you want to call her, like you said, the Black Queen, I'm okay. Whatever they want to do is fine, as long as you give her a good story and good background to it, great. You know, I could care less about her race. I you know, that was kind of funny that they had to get backhanded on and then she fell to the floor, and she's like, "Oh, okay." You know, when that guy came in there to look for the hobbits, and he was searching for them. The Dark Wizard, that's interesting. Like, I mean, I don't understand. That's one of the questions. Like, I don't understand what's his role yet. Like, do we know what his role is? Did I miss that? Because I feel like I've missed so much in the show. Like, what is his role besides looking for?
He's the Dark Wizard.
Yeah, but what is he doing? Like, I don't.
He's dark, bitch.
Like, what does he have to do with Saruman? And why does he want to find the star? Like, I'm just like okay.
I don't think he has anything to do with Sauron. I at this point, I don't know. Maybe Cyber could give a different opinion, but so far, I don't think he has any ties to Sauron. But like other than that, we don't know much about the Dark Wizard.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because he's present, and I'm like, okay, what's his involvement here? And I feel like his story has nothing to do with. I said Saruman, but I meant to say Sauron. Yeah, so Sauron, I you know, and that character in itself being played out in here is interesting as well. I kind of like what they're doing with him. I do like what they're doing with him. Not say I kind of like. I do like what they're doing with him. I'm liking to see how this plays out, but these episodes are really long and they are so slow. You have to pay attention. You can't watch this at night. I'm telling you, you get tired if you don't, because it's not a like uppity beat up pace show. It's not.
Yeah, you could fall asleep on one of these episodes.
Absolutely. You have to love Lord of the Rings and really like the lore to, you know, be entertained with this in a way, in my opinion. But you know.
The other people that are covering this show, folks, like they're not. I've tried reaching out to some of the other shows that cover this show. They don't even like get back to me about collaborating, because they've already got their shit locked in how they're going to cover it. They don't want to add anybody else to it or be a part of anybody else's coverage. You know what I'm saying? But not that many people are. Not everybody's covering the show. But it's getting a lot of flack already. What do you think, Cyber? What are your thoughts on that section of the episode, sir?
Can you refresh my memory where we're going to?
From when we get the Nori and Poppy meeting the very politically correct, like, you know, multiracial Hobbit people, the stores, and the Dark Wizard, sir. The Dark Wizard.
Okay. So to kind of to give J-Red a little information there, because you were asking about it. They, through the first season and so far in this 4-episode arc, not much is known about that wizard. We just know that he's remembering things finally as he's going along, and that he's remembering things as things happen to him. So it's kind of like he almost has amnesia, and it's slowly coming back to him. So that's pretty much all they've given us throughout the whole first season and this season so far. So there's really not much to him except for that. We know that he is definitely a wizard, but we're not sure where he actually lies.
Yeah.
All right. So going on with the story, I mean, the Poppy and Nori thing is kind of, it's so stupid at the same time as hilarious. To meet that other Hobbit person who is a stealer of water, and that's absolutely hilarious. And then him and Poppy kind of have a thing going on there that we get a little bit, and you're kind of like, like what? No, I'm like, Poppy, you do realize he looks like a fucking elf, right? He doesn't look like a half-foot or a halfling. He looks more like an elf or like a goblin or something. You don't want to go that way. And he just looks like a weirdo, man. I want to go that way.
Yeah, I saw his ear at one point. His ear looked fucked up, man.
Right. And so when this person pops up, I'm kind of cracking up at this guy. I'm like, what the hell? This is the love interest? Like, you couldn't do better? Like, what the fuck? And so I'm like, as that's going along, and they're like, you know, he's having them follow him to take him to a certain place to help them find the Dark Wizard again. Then we kind of go back and forth. We go back to the Dark Wizard. He finally gets taken out of the tree by the other dude. And we kind of have that moment there where he's like, he thinks he's hearing him talk, and he's like, the other guy keeps talking in questions, basically. He's always answering a question with a question kind of deal. And so you're kind of like, what is up with this Tom guy? What is his deal?
I didn't go into Tom Bombadil really, Cyber, yet. I was waiting to get into that.
Okay. I will not go there.
He wants to talk about him, though, man.
I know. I let him go for a while. Come on now.
Anyways, so basically that portion is boring as fuck. That's all I got.
Even with the Dark Wizard?
Yeah.
He didn't do any wizardy stuff.
You're not the only person that thinks the Dark Wizard is Saruman, JRET 2000. Several people think that that's Saruman. Apparently, the stranger is not Gandalf. Just to be clear, apparently he's not Gandalf now. I thought he was Gandalf, but now he's not Gandalf. So he's just a stranger now. Like that's it.
I don't think the Dark Wizard is Saruman, honestly.
I don't think any of the wizard characters are actually like any of the major wizards from the Lord of the Rings.
This was like many years after that happened, right?
Before.
Like thousands of years or something?
Before.
Yeah.
Not thousands, because Galadriel is in the Lord of the Rings. You know what I'm saying? But she's an elf. But
elves are immortal.
Yeah, they are immortal. So either way, fortunately for the stranger, his new acquaintance is happy to rescue him from the hungry tree that J-Rep talked about. Does this fellow have a name? It's seemingly been a long while since anyone's called him anything, but yes, they used to call him Bombadil, Tom Bombadil. He's a friendly fellow, asking the stranger into his home, but he's odd too. He likes to sing, and from the other room, the stranger hears a woman's voice joining the tune, even though there's no woman around. And Tom Bombadil throws him the bar of soap and says, "Wash your elbows, bitch." So what's his deal? Tom Bombadil seems to be old, extremely old, as in older than the stars in the sky, which he calls newcomers. In his words, he's not just old, he's eldest. No further explanation is needed. And it's quite possible he's telling the truth, given the way the fire reacts to a mere yawn. Impressed, the stranger asks in so many words if he can play Luke Skywalker to Tom Bombadil's Yoda, perhaps starting with that staff he tried to claim from the tree. In return, he gets a bit of wisdom that might baffle even the wisest Jedi Master. A wizard's staff is like a name. It's yours to wield already if you prove yourself worthy of it. And Tom Bombadil informs him he is not. But maybe he will be with the proper training. Not that Tom Bombadil is in any great hurry to take on another protege, given that his last one became the Dark Wizard. What's more, Tom Bombadil knows what could happen next. The Dark Wizard can team up with Sauron to rule the world unless the right heroes step up to stop them. But who could those heroes be? All right, it's the stranger. Elsewhere, Galadriel's vision of dark foes on the southern route to Eregion, that's because it passes through the Barrow Downs, where even the trees seem ill at ease. There's a good reason for that. The Barrow Downs are home to evil skeletons called Barrow Wights. And yes, per Tolkien lore, Barrow Wights should not be in the Barrow Downs at this point in Middle-earth history. Take it up with the showrunners. They're pretty scary, if ultimately no match for the elves. Despite being impervious to the weaponry, their own weaponry, however, is another story. So I'll stop there. Let me go a little bit farther. Lest you think the Lord of the Rings of Power had forgotten about the refugees of the old Numenorian settlement of Pelagar, the action that shifts to the hunt for Theo from the mysterious attackers who snatched him in the previous episode while attacking the wild men. The discovery of corpses and severed limbs seemingly does not bode well. But Isildur and Erendor hold out hope, and at the suggestion of Estrid, J-Red's favorite, they decide to head north. Remember, she knows a thing or two about the wild men. So I'll stop there. Cyber Sir, your thoughts on that passage where we do get fully introduced to Tom Bombadil?
Okay. Tom Bombadil, pretty much like I was saying before, he's an interesting character that kind of is like, what is his deal? And I feel that they keep him very much like kind of in that middle class of not knowing everything and knowing a little about him. So it's kind of one of those situations where you're just like, just tell me the fuck who he is. Like, just get on with it. Just get on with it. So that whole sequence kind of was You know, I thought interesting, but at the same time irritating at the same time, because it's like you're leading me on, but you're not giving the information. So it was kind of like I wanted more from it. I wanted, you know, it to kind of have a complete story there. So to know about Tom Bombadil. So other than that, I thought the guy that played Tom Bombadil, I thought he was great. I thought he did a good job. That, like I was saying before, the sequence where the now not Gandalf, the stranger, you know, is taking a bath and he thinks he hears him talking, and he's talking in questions, like I said. And that's just a kind of an interesting like take on a character, because if you feel like if you've watched any of the Lord of the Rings films, I feel, or even the Hobbit films, there's definitely some characters that do that are very, they answer a question with a question. So that is very tokenish. So I think that is fun that they brought that to the storyline and arc in the Rings of Power. You know, but pretty much proceeding on from there, we get, you know, kind of that introduction to that, trying to find Theo. I thought, you know, that whole situation was really cool in the forest and everything. I really enjoyed it. I thought that was really cinematographically well done. I liked the cinematography there. I liked the visuals, stuff like that. I thought that was really well done. And, you know, I thought that the set work and the like all the fake props and stuff like that were done really well and looked really realistic. So I think that was very done. We've mentioned that before now in several of the episodes, where we've said how that they put a lot of great effort into the visuals and the look and everything in the series. So high props to them for that. They are doing a great job making it look very much like a Tolkien verse. So I appreciate that very much. And just like Jay Grant was saying about how you could fall asleep during one of these things because they're so damn long, I 100% agree. These damn things are so long. They're way too long, and they need to split up the information, I think, in shorter episodes. And I think that it would be able to be processed for a lot of us a lot easierly. You know, because then they have, you know, instead of trying to push it out into 8 episodes, push it out to 10 and make each episode like 44, 45 minutes, then I feel that would come across a lot more even and more clean, and people would have a better understanding of this. Because this sequence here, if you think about it, a lot of this stuff was so condensed because of how long the episode is, and they were trying to condense so much into that hour and 10 minutes. It really got sopping wet, and, you know, in its, you know, not full potential, basically, as I feel. So I definitely think that some of this information in this sequence we're talking about definitely could have been extended better if they had shortened it in this episode and brought it on to another episode. And I definitely think a lot of that Tom Bombadil stuff would have done better if they had shortened without putting so much information into one episode. Still high props on this whole sequence's look and everything. I thought it did really good, especially the forest looks and stuff like that. Really enjoyable there. And overall, I think that this portion of the episode, it's not too bad.
Yeah, they've created so many storylines with so many characters at this point. They almost have no choice but to make the episode so long to fit everyone in, almost. You know, and yet they still skipped on the dwarves completely on this episode. And Saran and what's his name? Whatever the fuck his name is. The other elf that makes the rings. That guy. Right? We didn't see them at all in the episode. What do you think, J-Red 2000?
Oh, you guys brought up so many good points, and I'm gonna piggyback a lot of what Cyber said. I think he's 100% right with the visuals. For one, it's so true to Lord of the Rings. Like, just you see it, and everything is just like perfect. Nothing is like that doesn't remind you of Lord of the Rings. You know, the style is like very on point, and I can appreciate that from a nostalgia standpoint. The next thing he said about the episodes, and he said it a lot better than I did. But yes, the movies are so long and it's got so much information on them. If your attention span isn't good, it's hard to pay attention, and that's why it's easy to get lost with it because there's so long. Because there's like there's so much dialogue that you have to sit and listen to, and that dialogue just carries on, and the amount of action to not kind of like keep you up or the suspense to keep you tuned in can get you lost really easy. And yeah, I don't understand why it's not okay anymore to make a season with 15 episodes, or 20 anymore. Like everybody wants to just do 10 episodes and shorten it down. But this story is a long story. You have a potential to create 45-minute, 35-minute episodes and keep us wanting to know what goes on in the next episode, because they're going to see it. You create an episode for 35 minutes. Yeah, everybody wants that episode for 45 minutes to watch. Like, oh man, I could watch this forever. But if you don't put enough action sequence in it to keep it going, it's just stagnant, and then you lose the attention to it, whether you like the story or not. That's my opinion on that. I think Cyber was able to bring that out to definitely help me explain how I feel about that. And then the last part I want to bring out about Tom Bombadil is I looked it up while you guys were talking about it, because I don't know the character very well. I've heard him before. I play Magic the Gathering. He's actually in one of the cards for Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering set, so I know him from there. But his character, I think, is immortal because he is actually a character in the Lord of the Rings. He doesn't. I don't think I ever seen him in movies, but according to the book, he meets Frodo, and after the ring is destroyed, he's actually friends with Gandalf, and so he's even in this point of time. So he's been through this whole story that we don't know about.
They skipped it. They didn't do him in Lord of the Rings because it didn't work.
Right. And for somebody like me who's not like super like Lord of the Rings fan, I mean, granted, I saw all three of them when they came out in the theaters, and I felt like I had enough information about Lord of the Rings to talk about it. Like, I don't know the whole story, like, all this stuff, all these new characters. Like, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Where am I? If you don't know, like, this is just got to give you some information on that. You can look it up. And I tried to drink a beer and it's already making me burp. And you just find out all this new information. Interesting character. And apparently he's not, he doesn't get corrupted by the ring. That's kind of a weird little information that I found on there. But overall, let's see what they do with this character. Got very sidetracked from the actual point of that scene, but
he's a character that does start off that like literally like started off like when the planet started. Like he's been around since the beginning, basically.
They're bringing this character out. I think is important for them because he is really a important character for Lord of the Rings. I'm guessing in the novels. And so having him come out here is, I think, could be pivotal for them to build something else of this character further down the line or further for this Rings of Power story.
Most definitely. Yeah, I think it definitely lends a lot of credit, like a lot of clout, like with the original source material, as far as the Lord of the Rings goes, to have him appear without question. It was a good move for them. I'm going to go ahead and play a trailer, guys. If anybody wants to get up and stretch your legs or anything, go ahead. All right. Not bad. Not bad trailer.
No, not bad at all.
No, I actually like that one. All right, so back to the episode. Isildur and Estrid enjoy a meaningful moment by the fountain, though Isildur does acknowledge the existence of her betrothed. But it's cut short when Arondir starts asking questions about the wound on her neck, which he soon reveals to be an attempt to hide Adar's mark. That's bad news for Arondir and Estrid's burgeoning flirtation, but good news for the search for Theo. While they bicker, Arondir stumbles across the clue that cracks the case. Theo wasn't taken by men, wild or otherwise. He's being held by the Ents. After Estrid gets a shot at redemption by rescuing both her companions from the giant mud-dwelling worm that attempted to eat them, they continue on their way. Then later that night, Isildur chooses to let her go. And after a brief moment when it looks like she's going to take his sword and flee, he promises to protect her despite her wildness. It's a meaningful moment interrupted by the sudden arrival of Ents. Unfortunately, back at Store Village, it's to be a sentence of exile for the Harfoot visitors. or it would be if not for Poppy's dropping the name of the Harfoots leader. The name rings a bell, recalling an old legend of a storm who set off on his own with a promise to return for those he left behind and lead them to a promised land called the Souza. Then, this rings a bell for Nori, explaining why her people are perpetual wanderers who have perhaps forgotten what they were originally looking for. Their historical puzzle solving gets interrupted by the arrival of the riders. But despite the threat of violence, the Gun does not give up her unwanted guests. If Estrid and Arendir can put their differences aside, can Galadriel and Elrond do the same? Galadriel's use of the Ring of Power has been a wedge between the two. Perhaps it doesn't have to be. They both want the same thing, after all, and an object that offers grim visions of what it could be useful. Elrond remains skeptical, but they both agree that defeating Sauron is their top priority. Then they exchange a meaningful look that looks like it could turn even more meaningful until a third elf shows up with a report of something potentially dreadful. The sound of drums. Sure, drums are scary, but are they as scary as Ents with a grudge against anyone who's taken an axe to a tree? It looks for a moment like Arendir's past transgressions against trees will be his doom. But they find common ground with Arendir and his friends after a tense meeting, an apology from Arendir, some friendly hand-holding, and a promise to protect the Ents from future harm. If the Ents, Snaggleroot, and Winterbloom sound familiar, that's because they're voiced by Jim Broadbent and Olivia Williams. After that, the Ents let loose their prisoners. Theo, seemingly realized what a jerk he's been, hugs Arendir, and there's Estrid's betrothed, who's not, as it turns out, imaginary or dead, and has a name, Hagon, or Hagen. So I'll stop there. Before we get to the end of the episode, and the Orc army and all that shit, JRat 2000, what are your thoughts on that passage of the episode?
They're called the what? The Etnies?
The Ents.
The Ents. I like the characters, the Ents. I like them in the original Lord of the Rings. So when I saw them, I kind of expected to see them. When that, for whatever reason, when that tree swallowed up in the previous one we talked about, I automatically thought about them, and for whatever reason, I thought that's what that was, and I assumed I was going to see them. I was right. I don't know why that put those two things I put those two together. When I saw that, was cool, good nostalgia, liked it. And then we saw the little prisons made out of the trees or whatever, and that chick, she goes to save them when they fall in that little pit, because I guess they felt like they couldn't trust her because she was in the cuffs, because she was a wild bitch, and she puts the stick in there and pulls them out. That big ass swamp shrimp comes out, and they come out of it, earns their trust because of that. And then I kind of went back and forth. Then I'm gonna go towards the end part of it. They get released, right? Because the elf makes a promise, like, "Oh, we're gonna protect you. Fuck these dudes. I got your back." And they fall for it. She puts a little flower on him and stuff, and symbolizing like hope and love, all that stuff, all that good stuff. And then we see like they're about to make out, right? Like they're like, "Oh, he's gonna hook up with her," right? Because that's like you could tell he was all like rock hard for her, like the whole
all jazzed up.
Yeah, he really thought he was getting it, right? All the flirting and everything. He was like, "Fuck, hell yeah, we hit it," And then all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, that's my dude," and then right away he's like, just sticking up out of his pants, and it just goes. And it goes down, and then that's how that part ends about it. I just kind of was like, I kind of just thought, I actually thought that was kind of funny for that moment. It's just a conversation that happens that you have to kind of just pay attention and be interested in. As if you like the story, you have to pay attention to that. But like a lot of that sequence is like watered down part of the story. Because we want to see the rings. We want to see we want to see Sauron. We want to see the dwarves get the rings. We want to see what that does. What's the next step? And so all these little side quests in there are kind of just like, filler. This is filler to me until I get to the rings. When I see them making the rings and all that stuff, I'm like, yeah, rings. Those are awesome. And that's what I'm looking for in it. But yeah, little filler episode that was funny.
I want to see Nori naked. That's my side quest.
Yeah, it isn't a bad one, but I think these shows are rated PG-13, right? You can't get.
Yes.
What's the most you can get out of a PG-13? Shoulders, maybe like to the cut, like to right here.
Cleavage. I don't know.
Yeah, some good cleavage. That's about it.
What do you think, Cyber?
So this sequence of events in the film, are once again, like I was saying before, there's a lot of great action in this sequence that is really fun. Lots of great CGI elements, lots of great cinematography, stuff like that. Really great elements they used for all these sequences with all the creatures, stuff like that. The Ents themselves are freaking awesome. I love the Ents in the films. I was so happy to see that they were the Ents in this, the ones that captured Theo from the last episode. And that's what I figured it was that picked him up. But at the same time, I didn't want to go, oh, it could have been something else. Could have been something new. Could have been a cave troll or something. You never know. So I was like, I'll wait to see. And then when it ends up being the Ents, I was like, oh, that's freaking cool. And after the whole time I'm going, where the fuck is Treebeard? Where the fuck is Treebeard? I want to see Treebeard. And so it's kind of like, so these are trees or Ents that have been around, thousands of years before the Lord of the Rings films are supposed to be happening. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, maybe Treebeard isn't alive yet now after all that. I don't know how long Ents live, so I have no idea if they live a long time like elves. I am not sure. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, maybe he's not around yet. But anyways, I thought that whole sequence was one of my favorite parts of the whole episode. I absolutely loved that. I thought that was so cool. And their whole conversation was really interesting, too, at the same time. This was also the sequence. Prior to this, we have that great sequence with the monster in the water, or in the mud, I should say, that pulls down Theo. And not Theo, the other guy, I forget what his name is. Gets pulled down there, and then the black elf, I like to call him, he ends up going in to fight him and battle him. And I'm like, now that's cool. Like, he's doing a good job there. Otherwise than that, I think he's just the third wheel in the act. But he did awesome in that scene. I absolutely loved him. I thought that the fighting was really good. The whole creature effect was really done well. And I mean, how like he bust out of it, that was really cool. And then he ends up having the piece of the creature, and he's like, dinner. I was like,
we call this dinner.
Yeah, we call this dinner. I'm like, that's I don't know how I feel about that after just being inside this creature, but okay, we'll eat it. We'll eat it. And I was like, oh, that was so freaking cool. So like, there was a lot of great action sequences in this section of the episode. Really, this is what brought me back into the episode. I found it entertaining. I found it fun. It got me back into the episode at this point. And I thought that this section was probably my favorite portion, besides the wizard getting pulled into that tree part of this episode. So really great portion of the episode. Really enjoyed it.
Okay. All right. So about those drums, they are indeed bad news, heralding the approach of a whole army of orcs. They avoid capture until only after Galadriel uses the ring to heal an injured member of their party whose moans of pain would have been a dead giveaway. This seems to soften Elrond's view of the ring, which is good because Galadriel hands it off to him as she effectively gives herself up as a prisoner to protect her companions, but not before taking out an impressive number of orcs in the process. Or maybe Elrond speculates it wasn't her friend she was protecting after all, but the ring. That question will have to wait. As the episode draws to a close, she finds herself face to face with Adar himself. Cyber, your thoughts, sir, on the end of the episode?
I thought the end of the episode was pretty basic. The orcs, the whole them hearing the drums and it being a real crazy kind of situation, like that's danger coming. Basically, I was kind of like to myself, I'm like, you guys just killed a beast, man. You guys are awesome, so you should not be worried about this. And so I was thinking to myself, like, I thought that the ending was it went from that great section to kind of, going back to kind of being slow a little bit, unfortunately. It wasn't as enticing as what we just saw, I felt. I didn't think it was as entertaining. I thought it was pretty, basic leading into the next episode. Now, it wasn't horrible, but definitely I think there was moments in it that, you're kind of like, okay, there's some interesting information there. Hopefully they'll be talking about it in the next episode and bringing it, to a full conclusion of that story, whatever they're trying to, reach at that point. And, I think that, of course, anytime, we see, certain aspects of, any of the armies or any of the different groups of people in this, they're always fun to look at because the costume design is so awesome. And just the whole aesthetic of them around them, the sets and everything is just really cool. So I think visually the ending is really done well, but story-wise, I think that it pretty much, kind of stalls again and gives us kind of a basic ending. So I thought, overall that this portion of the episode was basic and, leading us to the next episode.
J-Rat.
Definitely leading us to the next episode. I feel like we've, did we skipped the part where they were fighting the what were they called? The Wraths?
No, we went over the ring, right? The Barrow Whites.
Barrow White. Okay, that's right. Okay, yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, do we ever talk about that?
No, but if you want to talk about it, go ahead.
I was just thinking of the ring. How we were talking about the saving the ring. Type scenario of it. I want to reiterate that the rings do things to people, like they affect them. You know what I mean? I think we know that, right? I think you guys know that, right? It's not.
Yeah.
It does things to people, and I think that the story is trying to get us to see that by giving us the reaction of the people around her, as not so much as like her character and what she's doing, but like how people around her feel, and I think they are getting that off. They're bringing that out. They're getting that off, and I see it. Because you have to think about it. Lord of the Rings came out how long ago? When did it come out? Like 20 years ago?
Yeah.
So there's a whole there's a whole bunch of people that are younger that have probably never seen Lord of the Rings, and if they're watching this is brand new to them. They're like, Rings of Power, let me watch this, right? And so they're watching it with no like, oh, I'll watch Lord of the Rings whenever I'm done watching this. I'll watch it in order, but I've never seen Lord of the Rings. I'm watching this. So they have to give we know because we've seen Lord of the Rings that the rings do things to the people, but you have to show that. And I think this is showing people who've never seen Lord of the Rings, like what these rings are doing. Like, I think those people are changing. I think it's the rings, because it doesn't tell you that the rings are changing the people. You have to see it. They have to show you that it's doing it. They have to show this new audience that these rings are changing people. And I just want to reiterate on that's what they got to do. They got to say, okay, people who never seen Lord of the Rings, how do we show them that these rings are like bad news? Okay, well, let's focus around the people and how they react to it. So just wanted to throw that out there about that, give some information. But yeah, just leading up to the next episode, I'm watching it. I want to watch the whole thing. So, I'm invested.
Well, we hope so. We want you to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down.
And that's episode 4 of the Rings of Power, season 2, right there. It's over. We have crushed it, destroyed it. No Shogun Awards tonight. Just simply a thanks to the gentleman for being on the guest panel tonight with me for episode 4. I'm going to go ahead and plug you guys out. I'm going to start with you, JRat 2000, and I'm going to go to your Facebook page.
Cool. Let's do it. Hook me up.
There you go, sir. Talk away.
Sweet. All right, guys. So if you are interested in anything I've had to say, or you like my comments or gestures or, my hairdo, whatever it is. You can see on this page that I focus on that based off of that background picture. You can come see me at January 2000 Podcast Odyssey, not only on Facebook, but mainly you can hear my episodes on Spotify and on Apple. Also, plenty of other ones, to be honest with you, not just those, but Amazon Music, Podcast Index, Podcast Addict. So everywhere you could find it. If you listen to podcasts anywhere, you can find me. So just look it up.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cyberneticshark, sir, you are next.
Okie dokie, artichoke. All right, folks. So if you enjoy me on the panel or as a moderator, you can check out my recent videos here on my YouTube channel. If you like me, you can go check out my solo content, which you found right here. See my most recent video there is my trailer reaction of the upcoming Christmas movie, Red One, and my most recent review is for the film Trapped. Went and saw Beetlejuice today. We'll have a mini review of that up. We'll have a full review of that up soon. If you haven't seen that, highly recommend go check it out in theaters now. It just came out today. Of course, I put up a few awesome little mini reviews too as well. Shorts for you guys of some movies I've seen over the last couple weeks. Several horror films, actually. One's called Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell, which is considered the Japanese Evil Dead film. This guy basically was in love with Evil Dead and made his own film over in Japan. As you can see there, I did also the films When Evil Lurks, was a 2023 film, and then of course the 1984 of Children of the Corn review up there as well. My mini reviews of those, definitely check those out. Check out my mini review of Beetlejuice. Looking forward to doing my full review of that because it was such a fantastic film. Definitely worth the almost 40-year wait for the sequel. And great film if you haven't seen it. But be putting out more and more content for you guys, more reviews, more shorts and stuff like that. Keep your eyes out. As always, if you haven't checked out my Patreon, where you get all kinds of extra cool accoutrement you don't get here on my YouTube channel, go check that out as well. Also, in my Patreon, if you become a Patreon member, don't forget you get to give me what next movie I review for you guys. So that's something you can look forward to. So something to look into, people. But as always, if you enjoy my content here, keep on checking that out. Keep on checking out the MCU's Bleeding Edge, and we're going to keep on rocking it.
And we'll be back again next Friday, same bat time, same bat channel for Rings of Power Episode 5. Hopefully, Aaron from Booze and Chill will be on with us. Wrath O'Connor will be back. He got stuck at work late tonight. We appreciate you, Wrath. All right, guys, we're out of here. God bless you, folks. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Galaxy. Yeah. Someone at the door, John, now I'm here to stay. Tell me who the fuck gonna face the music. More brick laying, less screen time. Been cutting back on the daily usage. Long road for the road dogs, for the